A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Madenge. And now, President William Ruto cautioned journalists, politicians and the public against making controversial remarks about the military. Speaking in Nakuru at the Cadets Commissioning Parade at the Kenya Military Academy in Lanet, he emphasized that the military is a pillar of national stability and urged that it should be treated with utmost sensitivity. He stated that he wanted to urge all Kenyans, leaders, politicians and journalists alike that the military men and women are the anchor for the stability and the insurance of their development, and therefore they must be sensitive and avoid discussing military matters casually. He further added that his administration and himself as the commander-in-chief would defend the military by all means possible as they guarantee their stability and development.
National prosperity is built on the pillars of peace, good governance and inclusive development. Our defense forces are key to upholding these values. Their presence ensures stability, attracts investment, and inspires both national and global confidence. I therefore want to urge all Kenyans, leaders, politicians, journalists alike, that our military men and women are the anchor for our stability, the insurance for our development, and therefore we must be sensitive and keep off matters military in random talk. My administration and myself as Commander-in-Chief will defend by all means possible our military as they guarantee our stability and our development.
Moving on swiftly, the National Assembly has today passed anti-money laundering bill, which aims to curb crimes associated with money acquired through dubious means. The National Assembly approval of the bill comes in at a point which Kiambu Governor Honorable Kimani Wamatangi was arrested on Tuesday for possessing over 12 million shillings. Now, Davis Karani reports on what happened during the session in the National Assembly.
The National Assembly has passed anti-money laundering and organized crime bill that aims to curb and recover all non-accountable funds acquired. The bill is expected to automatically become a law after President William Ruto assents to it, and this comes in amid the huge amount of money that was found at Kiambu Governor's home yesterday.
Look at what yesterday happened in Kiambu. A lot of money just stashed somewhere. You don't know where it has come from. You don't know what the purpose is. You know, yesterday I saw people, the anti-corruption agencies showing Kenyans, I don't know how many millions of shillings and dollars that have been stashed in homes. That is exactly why we are passing this bill.
Governor Wamatangi being the first governor to be raided by the EACC, then followed by the passing of the bill by the National Assembly, complicates things further on whether the community development funds will be safe at the governor's hands if it will be disbursed to them, as Odinga stated during the weekend.
Let us devolve funds to the counties. And as I was told, the MPs, and Otiende disagree. CDF, national government, give that CDF national government, but to the counties, not the MPs. Fuel levy. Members of Parliament, Your Excellency, have no business constructing roads. The role of a member of Parliament is clearly stated.
The bill states that anyone in possession of over 1 million Kenya shillings in cash should explain the source of the money.
Yeah, I'm just curious. You're a senior lawyer.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the answer, the Honorable Murugari is a senior lawyer. Is having money in your house evidence of crime?
Mr. Speaker, it is not evidence of crime. But as you know, we passed the the FRC regulations recently. For you to have money, more than 1 million shillings, you should be able to explain its source. You should explain its source. If you are unable to explain its source, then under the Assets Recovery Department, then it will be treated as proceeds of crime.
Many Kenyans hope that the passing of the bill will bring accountability in the country, considering the fact that President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was forced to change the national currency due to the same scenario during his regime. Will President William Ruto do the same as his predecessor did? Time will tell.
President William Ruto has called on teachers and parents to protect school children from predators who seek to corrupt them with toxic ethnicity and divisive politics. The president said he will stand firm and ensure that children are not exploited by individuals who wish to destroy the country. He noted that Kenya has more to celebrate than the negativity that some people wish to promote. The president was categorical that school children must be protected from pedophiles and drug peddlers. He made the remarks at State House Nakuru, where he hosted the winners of the 63rd Kenya National Drama and Film Festival 2025 for a state concert. He was accompanied by First Lady Rachel Ruto and Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba, among other government and educational officials.
The arts has the power to unify, to heal, and to inspire. And I want to commit to the teaching fraternity in Kenya and to parents that our children, to the extent possible, the government of Kenya will facilitate all our children in all the spaces that are available in our education system, in academics, in sports, in the creative art, in music, and all the other areas, because we now realize that there are talents in all those spaces, and children should be given the best opportunity to choose, and we should assist them to choose the pathways that is in their interest. And therefore, my commitment as president and my instructions to the ministry is that our education system should support all our children pursue all the interests they have within the curriculum that we have, from academics, through sports, to arts, to music. That whole array, we should support all our children to achieve the best that they can. But I must say this as leader and parent, that equally as leaders, as parents, as teachers, we must also protect our children from pedophiles and drug peddlers and predators who want to corrupt our children. We must say no to people who want to corrupt our children with negative ethnicity and negative politics. We are a great nation, and there is more to celebrate as Kenyans than the negativity that some of us want to drive. We have more to celebrate as a nation, and that I will firmly stand by, to protect our children and to make sure that we have a nation. And I will not allow this nation to go down the drain for the people who are pursuing their own selfish and narrow interests.
Now to the next story. The United Democratic Alliance, UDA party if you like, grassroots election held on Saturday in Hola Town in Tana River County has been rejected. Tana River County Senator Danson Mugatana and former Governor Hussein Dado today led the UDA members in voicing their concern on the irregularity of the elections they termed as not free and fair.
Tana River County Senator Danson Mugatana today led UDA party leaders from the county to distance themselves from the results of the UDA party grassroots elections held in Hola Town on Saturday. The leaders claimed the party register was doctored and some individuals, both from within the party and outside, infiltrated the whole exercise, whose transparency they now question.
Ndani ya register na wakaandikishwa kama ni contestants wakati tarehe 26 imepita. Wameingia namna gani? Nani aliwafungulia server ya chama ya UDA?
I'm only appealing to the party leader. I've always been very honest and I have always followed the rules. Let the rules be followed. These elections isimamishwe. Kama haitasimamishwa, we are not participating. In good faith.
Our people wanajua watu wao genuine ni nani, wale wanapenda watu ni nani. And if you want to give the other parties upper hand by disrupting this one of ours, muendelee tu.
UDA youth leaders from the county have also echoed the same sentiments, warning of what they called a silent coup within the party, aiming to oust the bona fide party members.
We will not tolerate confusion, interference, manipulation that threaten the trust and future of our party. We remain prepared, resolute, and ready to participate in free and fair grassroots elections once our concerns are addressed.
The youth are now calling on President William Ruto to come in and rescue the sinking UDA party ship in Tana River.
Kwa hivyo, sisi hata jana tulihama chama ya ODM, tukakuja Wiper, toka URP, tukakuja kungine, tukahama. Sisi tunajua kwamba hata wakati ile tutoka GBS tukakuja kuunga mkono rais. Na kesho ikifanyika hivi, sisi tunaambia sisi hatutembei na watu wa juu, sisi hatutembei na chama. Sisi tunasikiza Danson Mugatana, sisi tunasikiza Ambassador Hussein Dado, sisi tunasikiza.
Kwa hivyo mimi najulisha rais yetu, sisi ni watu wako. Ujue jana tumeumia na wewe na tumekujenga na umetusahau kuleta wale nyuki ilikuwa wanakufuguza na sisi ilikuwa tunapigana naye, ndio leo ukafanya ndio watu wako.
Victor GBS News at now.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
My name is Tracy Otonde. I'm Miss County Nairobi and I'm also Miss Embakasi East. Modeling is an art by virtue of the model and by virtue of the designers. That's if we look at modeling in terms of pageantry. You're showcasing yourself. You yourself is a work of art. You're a work of art and you're showcasing everything that's in you and within you. And by virtue of the designer is because you keep showcasing the attires that they're made for you and you have to look the part for you to be able to showcase what the designer was picturing. So yeah, modeling is an art.
Welcome to Fun Art Class. Today we are going to make a sailboat. First, you fold a triangle, a half. Friends, today we made a sailboat.
A student can transition from other curriculums, such as the Kenyan CBC curriculum, the Pearson EdXL curriculum, and the IB curriculum, to the Cambridge curriculum.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back. Prime Cabinet Secretary Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, addressing the London Sudan conference, urged the international community to escalate pressure, including potential sanctions against warring factions in Sudan obstructing humanitarian aid. He emphasized the dire humanitarian crisis, particularly in areas outside Sudan, armed forces control, and stressed the need for a unified African-led peace process. Mudavadi highlighted Kenya's ongoing efforts to facilitate aid and mediate between Sudanese factions, reiterating that a military solution is unattainable and calling for a shift towards inclusive dialogue. Mudavadi underscored Kenya's commitment to a unified Sudan, advocated for a Sudanese-led political process while respecting the nation's sovereignty. He criticized parallel peace initiatives that undermine commitment and called for mainstreaming efforts under the African Union and IGAD with UN support. Now, he thanked the UK for convening the conference, stressing the urgency of addressing the humanitarian crisis and its regional impact, and reiterated Kenya's stance against the balkanization of African states, emphasizing the necessity of a collective, coordinated international response. Two officials from the Kakamega Civil Registration Department have been arrested by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission in a crackdown targeting corruption in public service delivery. The two are accused of soliciting bribes from members of the public in exchange for faster processing of civil registration documents, an act that points to a broader coordinated bribery scheme.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission arrested two officials from the Kakamega Civil Registration Department for allegedly soliciting and receiving bribes from applicants seeking civil registration documents. The two, Mr. Boniface Mukaisi, the civil registrar stationed at the Kakamega Huduma Center, and Amos Kiplangat, assistant civil registration officer, are alleged to solicit bribes to expedite service delivery. It is further alleged that the bribes paid are funneled through a privately operated M-Pesa till number, pointing to a coordinated bribery syndicate. At the time of their arrest, the officials had just received 2,500 Kenya shillings to facilitate the processing of a birth certificate. The suspects were detained at Bungoma Police Station, awaiting further processing at the EACC's Western Regional Offices in Bungoma. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has intensified its crackdown on corruption at service delivery points, acknowledging that bribery not only compromises justice, but also hinders citizens' access to vital services and diminishes trust in public institutions. The Commission reiterates its commitment to holding public officers accountable and ensuring equitable service delivery for all Kenyans. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
The government is constructing the Regional Center for Marine Transport and Port Logistics at Kombani in Matuga constituency, Kwale County, at a cost of 607 million shillings. Currently 82% complete, the center will train students from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo careers in maritime transport, seafaring, port management and logistics, ship making, marine science, and marine engineering and other specializations in high demand globally. The center is one of the interventions the government is making to revitalize the value chains in the blue economy and empower communities who derive their livelihoods from the maritime ecosystem. Other interventions underway include the already disbursed 3.2 billion shillings in grants to fisher folk through beach management units, ongoing construction of the Shimoni and Liwatoni fish ports, as well as the building of fish markets and fish landing sites in the 5 counties adjacent to the Indian Ocean, that is Kwale, Mombasa, Kilifi, Lamu and Tana River.
Tunajenga fish ports, complete fish ports, ambayo iko na jeti, iko na factory ya kuprocess hao samaki. Hapa Shimoni, nilikuwa hapa Shimoni last year. Here in Shimoni, tuko na port ya Shimoni, fish port, modern port, ambayo itagharimu serikali ya Kenya bilioni 2.6. Na iko karibu kumalizika. Imebaki tu kama equipment peke yake ndio imebaki. Nafikiri hiyo pia after mwezi mmoja hivi rais atakuja kufungua hiyo port. Hiyo port ya samaki itawawezesha vijana wengi na wazee na akina mama kupata ajira hapa Kwale. Sasa hiyo ni mradi ingine. Mwaka huu tunanunua mashua za kwenda baharini. Deep sea fishing boats za zaidi ya shilingi milioni 600 zitapewa wavuvi ili waweze kusafiri baharini kwa siku 7 mpaka siku 10, ikiwa na watu kama 10 ama watu 7 hivi. Tuko na program zingine katika area hii. Hata pale Mombasa Liwatoni tunajenga tena fish port ingine ambayo itagharimu 1.5 billion shillings. Vile vile tunasaidia vikundi vya wavuvi katika sehemu hii. Governor anajua katika hizi kaunti zetu za pwani 5, kaunti ya Kwale, Kilifi, Mombasa, Tana River na Lamu, tayari serikali imetoa bilioni 3.2 kwa vikundi vya wavuvi.
Well, it is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform, GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
So today's topic is Rising Stars, young people who create, influence and inspire. So
on a honest note, creating is hard work, and there are people who I see their work and they are constantly pushing themselves.
Okay.
Like kujipush, like they are putting creativity up top over there.
I think no one also prepares you for the fact that the better you become.
The networking is also very good. You see, there are people who have passion for, videography, creating videos, editing. There are people passionate about that. If you are someone who talks and you meet people and you love people, you'll definitely meet someone who's just waiting to shoot you.
But also in terms of what I put out, it goes back to what are your values? What are your values? What are your beliefs? So as much as this is trending, yes, that is trending. Does it align with your values? Does it align with your beliefs?
You can be a star without the star position. Si lazima ukue hapo mbele ya watu. Si lazima wewe ndo ukue star, ndo ukue star. Hata ukiwa hapa chini, wewe bado ni star. And as she has said, discipline is a big thing.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu. People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you you can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
Ati Raila ataingia UDA hapo
hiyo ni ndoto. Mimi yote nasema hawezi, sababu nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha. Kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD, nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rahisi.
Usikose, ingia kwenye GBS TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
If the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
GBS Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back now to international news. In a growing political crisis in Tanzania, the opposition party Chadema is facing disqualification from October's general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission accused the party of refusing to sign a code of ethics, a requirement for all political parties to participate. Chadema, however, calls for the ban unconstitutional, setting the stage for a tense legal and political battle.
Tanzania's main opposition party Chadema has condemned the Electoral Commission's decision to disqualify them from October's general elections. The commission cited Chadema's refusal to sign a code of ethics, which it claims is a legal requirement for participation. Chadema, however, argues the decision is unconstitutional, stating the law calls for penalties, not a ban. The dispute further intensified after Chadema leader Tundu Lissu was charged with treason following his arrest at a rally where he demanded electoral reforms. The party has rejected the electoral code, citing a lack of necessary reforms for a fair election. If upheld, the ban would leave President Samia Suluhu ruling party CCM with little opposition in October. Human rights activists have criticized the government's tactics, but the government denies any wrongdoing. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
Russian President Putin is set to meet with the Emir of Qatar in Moscow this Thursday for talks that will focus on key global issues, including the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, tensions in the Middle East, and energy concerns. The meeting marks another step in Qatar's role as a mediator on international stage. Here is more on the scene.
President Putin and the Qatari Emir will meet in Moscow to address the ongoing war in Ukraine, as well as the humanitarian crisis in Syria and Gaza. Qatar, which has been active in mediation efforts, is focused on finding a peace deal to end the 3-year war. The two nations will also explore issues related to global energy markets, with a specific focus on natural gas and the broader implication of the war on global supply chains. Qatar's mediation efforts have previously helped bring about the return of children separated by the conflict, showcasing the nation's commitment to facilitating dialogue. Discussions are expected to include regional issues where Qatar has been an influential player, such as the ongoing tensions in Syria and the Gaza Strip. Qatar's ability to act as a neutral mediator, balancing relationship with both the US and Iran, has positioned itself as a key diplomatic actor in the Middle East. The meeting between Putin and Qatar's Emir underscores the evolving diplomatic landscape in which smaller nations like Qatar play crucial roles in facilitating dialogue on global conflicts. Qatar's ability to maintain neutral relations with key global powers allows it to mediate in ways larger powers might struggle with. As the war in Ukraine and regional tension continues to shape geopolitical environment, Qatar's involvement in seeking peaceful resolutions reflects the growing importance of multilateral diplomacy. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Tensions between France and Algeria have taken a sharp turn, with both countries expelling diplomats in a deepening political dispute. At the center of it, a high-profile kidnapping case, long-standing regional disagreements, and a series of diplomatic jabs. Our reporter Elvis Muyodi with more on the unfolding situation.
France has expelled 12 Algerian diplomats, matching Algeria's decision to remove 12 French officials just a day earlier. The diplomatic clash follows the arrest of an Algerian consular officer in France, accused of involvement in the kidnapping of anti-government influencer Amir Boukor, also known as Amir DZ. While Algeria claims the arrest as the trigger, tensions have been building for months. France's support for Morocco's autonomy plan in Western Sahara angered Algeria. The arrest of French-Algerian writer Boulem Sansal in November further strained the relations. In addition to the expulsions, France has recalled its ambassador from Algiers, accusing Algerian authorities of a brutal deterioration in ties, despite a recent call between both presidents aimed at easing tensions. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
Israel's defense ministry has confirmed that Israeli military will maintain control over the security zones they have established in the region, even if a peace agreement is reached. This announcement follows a stagnation in ceasefire talks as Israeli forces continue to assault Gaza with airstrikes and the civilian death toll continues to rise. Abdi Hamid Ali has more.
Israeli military have created buffer zones, tightening Israeli hold on key areas of the enclave. Since the escalation began, Israeli forces have seized 20% of Gaza's territory, including the strategic and important city of Rafah. The war has caused a severe toll on Palestinian civilians, including the displacement of over 400,000 people and the death of more than 50,900. Medical charity MSF has called Gaza a mass grave for Palestinians, highlighting the dire humanitarian crisis as hospitals struggle to function with limited supplies. Hamas rejected calls for disarmament. They demanded the complete withdrawal of Israeli troops and the lifting of the blockade as conditions for any ceasefire. Efforts by Egyptian mediators to broker a peace agreement have failed to yield progress. The suffering of the civilians continues to worsen. The future of Gaza remains bleak. The world now watches in horror as the Palestinians are in urgent need of humanitarian aid and a long-term resolution to this never-ending crisis. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Former Peruvian President Ollanta Humala and his wife Nadine Heredia have been sentenced to 15 years in prison for laundering millions in illegal campaign funds. Prosecutors say the money was used to finance Humala's presidential bid in 2006 and 2011. The conviction is part of a broader anti-corruption drive linked to the car wash scandal, which has implicated political leaders across Latin America.
Former Peruvian President Ollanta Humala and his wife Nadine Heredia have been sentenced to 15 years in prison for aggravated money laundering.
The majority declares Ollanta Humala and Nadine Heredia co-authors of the crime of aggravated money laundering against the Peruvian state.
After more than 3 years on trial, a Peruvian court found the couple guilty of illegally receiving $3 million from Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht and over $270 from Venezuelan late President Hugo to finance Humala's 2006 and 2011 presidential campaigns. The court declared them co-authors of crime, stating the funds were part of a broader corruption scheme linked to the famous car wash scandal that rocked Latin America. While Humala was immediately taken into custody following the verdict, Heredia sought asylum at Brazil's embassy in Lima. Both have denied any wrongdoing, and their defense criticized the immediate imprisonment as excessive, citing their right to appeal.
The immediate execution of a ruling in the first instance is excessive. They have the right to the presumption of innocence, the right to the second instance. I request that you review the sentence. It is extreme.
The case highlights Peru's ongoing efforts to prosecute high-level corruption, even as similar investigations have stalled in other countries. Authorities emphasize that the proceedings were conducted independently of the now weakening investigations abroad. Although the verdict was not unanimous, Humala has the right to appeal to the Supreme Court. Until then, he awaits a decision on whether he will be transferred to the special detention facility that houses other former Peruvian leaders. Teresa Tiengo, GBS News.
In a significant shift in U.S. military strategy, the Trump administration is planning to scale down its presence in Syria, reducing the number of American troops stationed in the region. This move could cut the current force of around 2,000 troops by half. This decision comes as part of a broader review of U.S. military operations in the Middle East. Here is more on the story.
The U.S. military have maintained a presence in Syria for several years to support local forces in their fight against the remnants of ISIS. Over time, these forces have succeeded in pushing out the terrorists, but the threat remains in the region. The planned reduction could bring U.S. troop levels down to about 1,000 soldiers. The United States has been increasing its military presence in the broader Middle East in response to growing concerns about Iran's nuclear ambition and regional influence by funding its proxies. Recently, the U.S. deployed strategic bombers, warships, and air defense systems to reinforce its position in the region. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is currently overseeing a global review of U.S. military deployments, which includes reassessing the situation in Syria. The future of U.S. involvement in Syria and the Middle East will depend on broader geopolitical developments and the nature of its security, especially from terrorist groups like ISIS. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
Well, it's time for your most favorite segment of the show, the Sports News. Let's get sporty. In a move poised to redefine the trajectory of Gor Mahia Football Club, Mr. Eliud Owalo has officially been unveiled as the club's new deputy patron. He currently serves as the deputy chief of staff in charge of performance and delivery management in the executive office of the President of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Owalo's appointment comes at a critical moment as Gor Mahia, Kenya's most decorated football club, seeks to re-establish itself as a dominant force both locally and across the African continent. Speaking during the unveiling ceremony, Mr. Owalo outlined an ambitious blueprint for the club's future. At the core of this vision is a commitment to modern infrastructure and professional club management. He revealed that plans are already underway for the acquisition of land to construct a state-of-art stadium, a game-changing development for a club that has long relied on shared public venues. Mr. Owalo also pledged to establish a professional secretariat to streamline operations and boost administrative efficiency.
May I state from the onset that my primary goal is to bring in fresh impetus with a view to re-engineering rejuvenating and revitalizing the operations of Gor Mahia Football Club so that we can position it as the biggest and most successful football club in Africa. That is my vision. And working together with the patron, the club management, and the entire Gor Mahia fraternity, my primary objective, first of all, primarily, is to ensure that within the shortest time possible, we facilitate the construction of a stadium for Gor Mahia Football Club. Together with a clubhouse and other attendant facilities, such as houses for the players and technical bench. It is a pity that clubs like Simba and Azam Football Club, which hitherto had been playing second fiddle to Gor Mahia, are today powerhouses in soccer in the region and even have better facilities than we do. We cannot continue like that. We must correct that anomaly. So in the not too distant future, we must acquire a stadium, a clubhouse, together with other social amenities for this club, including but not limited to houses for players. The other area of focus that we need to work together on, good people, in the immediate term is to ensure that this club has got a professionally run and fully functional secretariat. Under the coordination of the new Secretary General, we want a situation where the club is professionally managed with leadership exhibited by the chairman and the vice chairman, but a fully functional secretariat, operational secretariat, where even club members can go and raise issues of concern and also make suggestions as to what needs to be done with a view to strengthening the operations of the club.
Well, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again, same time, same channel. My name is Stephen George. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Madenge. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.